If fear didn't exist, what would you do? Who would you be? And where would you go? I know that if fear didn't exist for me, I would go fishing. Because like unusual people like myself, most people are scared of spiders, some people are scared of snakes. I am terrified of fish. Maybe it's their bulging eyes, or their gasping mouths, or the way they flop about when they're outside of water. I don't know what it is, but I am terrified of fish. The first time I went fishing, years and years ago, last week, I was with my uncle. I was actually 7, this wasn't last week. I was with my uncle, and we were fishing in a pond. We were having a good time. As my 7-year-old self, I was feeling like a man doing man things, catching fish. It was amazing. And I felt this tug on the end of the rod, and I was like, yes, I've caught something. And so I pulled it out, and there was a fish, and it was flopping about, its dead eyes locked with mine. And I was like, that's it. Its gasping mouth was saying, help me. And I was terrified. It was flopping about. And so I ran as fast as I could. But my 7-year-old brain didn't clock that I should let go of the rod. So as I was running, I was holding the rod behind me. And I looked behind me, and there was this fish flying in the wind. And I was convinced that this fish was chasing me. And so I didn't let go of the rod. I ran faster. And so I don't know what became of the fish. I'm not going to lie to you. But I am terrified of fish. And as I was growing up, I began to realize that there are 2 different types of fear. The first one is the fear that will keep you alive. It'll stop you from getting attacked by fish. It'll stop you from poking tigers if ever you get the opportunity. It'll stop you walking too close to the edge of a cliff because it'll keep you alive. But the second kind of fear is probably the most dangerous because it's the fear that keeps you from living. When you are in school and a teacher asks you a question, you want to put your hand up, but there's that fear of, well, what if you're wrong? And so you put your hand back down, or you'll keep quiet and you'll keep your thoughts to yourself. It's that fear of failure that stops you progressing and moving forward. Maybe it's that fear of looking in the mirror because you're scared of what you might see looking back at you, and so you try to ignore it. Maybe it's that fear of the future, of the unknown, and so you try not to think about the future, what you're going to do next, where you're going to go. Maybe it's a fear of commitment and going into relationships, and you decide, you know what, I'm just not going to think about it, I'll just do my own thing. But that fear is a fear that will keep you back and hold you from moving forward. It'll stop you from living. And recently, the Prince's Trust released some statistics about the young people in the UK, the youth of 2017. And this really struck me because it was quite significant. One of the statistics said that there's 28% of all the young people in the UK felt as if they had no control over their lives. A fifth of all the young people in the UK felt that they had no direction to where their lives were going. And I think the biggest one for me is, on average, in each classroom, there are at least 3 students in one classroom who feel that no matter how hard they try, there's no way that they can move from where they are to where they want to be. They can't change their circumstances. That's 3 students in each single classroom. And this fear to keep that holds you from living, that holds you back from moving forward, is so real and tangible to this generation. So when it comes to inspiring the fearless generation, how do you inspire a fearless generation in a world that is so full of fear? How do you encourage creativity in a culture of insecurity? What does this look like? How can you do? What is the answer to this truly significant issue? And I believe that it is revolving around just one word. It is a word that we've heard throughout the morning sessions. It's a word that I hold close to my heart, as does the rest of the Fearless team. And I believe it's a word that will completely change the statistics of 2017. And it is love. It isn't the daisy chain love that you're thinking about, or the, lovey-dovey, heart eyes kind of love. I'm talking about the raw, real love that you feel for someone else to help them out of their situation. And I've managed to pick apart 3 really practical ways, the big C's of this love. And first one is consistency. Within Fearless, the youth ministry, we have kids coming from all kinds of backgrounds. We've got different genders, obviously. We've got different ethnicities, different backgrounds. We've got some broken backgrounds. We've got perfectly fine backgrounds. We've got all sorts of people coming into the doors and into the life of Fearless. But when it comes to that consistency of love, it doesn't matter where they're coming from, it doesn't matter who they are or what they've done, it doesn't matter if they're the bullies or the bullied, we will love them, regardless of where they are, regardless of who they are or where they've come from. We will be consistent in our love to those guys. The second one is commitment. Because this love can't be a one-day thing and the next day something else. We have to be committed to these guys. We have to show that we're interested in whatever they're interested in. Even if you don't understand what Minecraft is or anything about Snapchat filters, you have to take an interest in that because that's what they are also interested in. You have to go out of your way to show these guys love, whether that's hospital visits, whether that's going to football games. And trust me when I say I don't know anything about football, but I will go to their game because I want to show that committed love. I need them to know that I find whatever they find valuable equally valuable as well. But the third point is that we have to show creative love, because it's something that I find, that I firmly believe, is that the guys that come into Fearless, the guys in the school, and the girls, I'm not gender biased, I believe that they're not only the leaders of tomorrow, but they're the leaders of today. We have to show that creative love and encourage them to express themselves, encourage them to flourish in whatever area they want to be, whether that's within history, whether that's within art, whether that's dance, or whatever that looks like for them. We have to encourage that creative response. And so how do we put this in place? Because those are really three practical things. But I believe that in order to inspire the Fearless generation, it has to start with us. It has to start with you and me. We need to be that example of committed, of consistent, and of creative love to each and every one of us. The Fearless generation begins with you. Thank you.